Hey everybody, welcome back to part 28 of the ongoing X231 series. This is the installment where we find out if those production gear set parts are going to work in the prototype castings. And I'm going to try and keep things rolling along pretty steady here. There's going to be a lot of trial and error trying to get that gear set set up, see what kind of a mesh I can achieve, and the difficulties and troubles that I mentioned in the last video, part 27, this is where I expect to encounter them, if there's going to be any. So let's get going. So the transmission housing is ready to bolt up to the rear end. I have a new gasket made and in place that is 15 thousandths thick. Now gasket thickness here does affect pinion depth into the ring gear, so it is rather critical. The reason I settled on 15 is because I have these two old case gaskets here. This partial one is an original to X231 and it happens to be 15 thousandths thick. The more complete one is the original from the 445 parts tractor that this gear set is out of. And this one is also 15 thousandths thick, so I figure that is a very good starting point. Okay guys, let's see what we get. Tell you what, that's not looking bad. I've at least got mesh going on. I've got quite a lot of backlash there, but I had set these bevel gear shim packs up to be a loose fit for the initial bolt up, so that's all right. Speaking of backlash, Moline was pretty good about putting the specs on their 445 ring gears. You can see scribed here we have a .011 followed by a 13. That tells me that this ring and pinion gear set, when brand new, was made to run at 11 to 13 thousandths backlash clearance between the gears. Now that was brand new spec. It's very likely that a gear set with this many hours on has been running wider than that for quite some time. But seriously, being that my mesh looks as good as it does right now, it gives me a lot of optimism. I'm like 300% less nervous right now than I was about 30 seconds ago. So happy, in fact, I may just crack a smile. No, who am I kidding? I won't. So to narrow in on that target adjustment of 11 to 13 thousandths in play, I'm going to take some of these shims out of this left side compartment and put them over in the right side. That should start forcing that ring gear that direction toward the pinion. Tighten up that mesh a little bit. So after a few shim adjustments, I've got my backlash narrowed up. The dial indicator is on there, and I've been able to hit 18 thousandths. That's still a bit wide, but with the 10 thousandths thick shims I have in the packs, 10 thousandths increments is all I can pull off. And I've tried another 10 thousandths change in toward the pinion, and that puts my backlash much lower than my target 11 to 13. And you definitely do not want to run them too tight. So I decided to also do a contact pattern check. And honestly, for a parade tractor, what I've got going on right now would be doable. I have decent contact width, and it is centered on the tooth and goes up to about this area here. Like I say, for parading around, that would be just fine. For working in the field, it wouldn't. But this is just going to be a diva tractor after all. But I'm going to try and get my backlash a little bit tighter and then recheck that pattern. What I'm going to do is use some of these 10 thousandths shims as patterns. I still have some more of that 15 thousandths thick gasket material. I can pop some gaskets out to the same shape, which would give me 5 thousandths increments instead of just the 10. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Not good. I'm gonna have to make some more changes. Still not good. Change it again. Still not right. Sorry guys, camera off until I figure this out. Okay guys, after about 4 hours of trying probably 10 different setups on this, changing pinion depth through gasket thickness, making other gaskets going with no gasket to bring it 15 thousandths in, double and triple gaskets to take it 30 thousandths out, 45 out, 60 thousandths out. Everything I did just made that contact pattern worse. And I think I finally hit upon what my end setup is going to be, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. The kicker of it is it's not that far off from where I started originally on the very first one. So I was able to get the backlash much better. It's right at 13 thousandths right now. Ended up going back to my original 15 thousandths case gasket thickness. Every time I deviated from that setting right there, the contact pattern got worse. When I eliminated the gasket and made these up just steel on steel with nothing in between, increased my pinion depth, it caused my contact pattern to get very narrow and very sharp. But then when I actually decreased pinion depth by adding different gaskets here and increasing that thickness, it changed my contact pattern the other way, where it gave me very heavy contact down on the toe of the gear, but nothing else clear up the face. So once I had decided that my 15 thousandths gasket was the way to go here, the next thing I had to do was start changing my shim packs and bringing that ring gear into the pinion to try and get my backlash as close to that 11 to 13 thousandths target as I could get. And you could see I filled up the better part of 2 pages in what is now the X231 Bible book with settings and clearances and results and changes and everything. It was a lot of trial and error, but I did finally stumble on an end setup that I really like. You can see I have some surplus shim discs. That's because I ended up with my final setup here, both sides equal, right side 3 10,000ths shims, a 15 thousandths gasket with a 30 thousandths gasket. Left side, same thing, 3 shims, 15 gasket, 30. Gave me my 13 backlash. So I was able to eliminate some of these discs by basically substituting their thicknesses with paper gasket material, which is perfectly okay to do as long as your end stack height ends up being the same compressed as it was with all the steel discs, and that will seal a lot better too. And with that having been said, here's the contact pattern that I'm going to go with. Remember, we do have a worn gear set, and it is a production set and a prototype case. Things that were never ever meant to go together the way they are, so all things considered, I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. But we have good, nice, wide contact down here on the toe end, and it stays full width contact to about the 1/3 point, at which time it starts gradually tapering off and then disappears altogether at about the 2/3 point. Like I say, for a worn gear set that has been renewed on its axis, new bearings, proper preloads, everything like that, that's pretty much what you can expect to see when you go to set one back up. I know it had been running a little bit loose in that case over there. Things start to wobble and lean off to one side. You get improper contact, and usually the heaviest wear occurs out here, and that's where I'm not getting contact. So this is the best pattern I've got with the greatest amount of surface area and contact with the pinion. So really, guys, it's a parade tractor. I'm going to go with it. I even think this might even live in the field if it ever has to do that, which it's not going to with me. But because if you actually apply tension to these gears and it gets under power, this contact pattern will drift up a little bit further than what it is in a no-load state like this. So pretty happy with it. And honestly, guys, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. If that production gear set would not have worked in X231, I really didn't have a plan B. So definitely all my eggs were in this basket. So, but X231 lives to see another day. Looks pretty nice in there. It took some work to get that pinion shaft fitted and some more work and some adjusting to get this carrier in, but differential and everything works like it should. It's all nice and smooth. Contact pattern's good. I'm happy with it. So next step now, axles and bowl gears. We're going to keep filling this back end up, see if we can make this look like a tractor. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Hope to see you back for the next installment.